everyone, Draco Magnius here for another episode of Let's Play Omen Exitio Plague. In the last episode, we attempted to make it clear that we put our work on discovering viruses too, but it seems that B-Man completely forgot who we were, or something fucked with his head so he wouldn't know who we were. And it seems the organization that we're working with Mr. Meyer, had a hand in it somehow. So we get no credit for the work we've put in, and now we're trying to figure out where we go from there, but without further ado, alone against the world. Approaching the door of your flat and closing it again behind you, you feel almost as if you're sleepwalking. Suddenly, everything you've worked on over recent months has fallen into ruin around you, as if it had all been a dream. B-Man's version of events has obviously been accepted as official truth, to the extent that even you have begun to doubt yourself. In addition to this crushing self-doubt, you feel the weight of a strong, violent, and invisible threat at the back of your mind. You look around the flat thinking of the stolen notes. Now it is confirmed in your mind that the theft had not been a random break-in. The thieves have clearly known exactly what they were looking for. Ultimately, there is a sense of satisfaction in knowing that you're not merely paranoid. There seems to be an intricate conspiracy surrounding you. I'm in trouble, and I fear I may have put you in danger too. Reginald is listening to you carefully, as you recount and explain recent events, and the suspicions you have accumulated. Then you tell him your fear that you may be suffering from paranoia. I wouldn't call it paranoia. It just sounds like caution to me. I won't complain about leaving these Dutch snobs and getting back to the comfort of London. Besides, they're utterly clueless about meat pies. It's not paranoia. Oh, hold on. I messed up the quote already. Just because you're paranoid does not mean no one's out to get you. You hold on to that. And by God, I hope you're not paranoid listening to me, because that would probably fuck with you for a little bit. Or for a while. Don't you worry, I'll be in London before you have time to put the... I fumbled. Don't you worry, I'll be in London before you have time to put the belly back on. Reginald laughs heartily. Alright, old boy. I don't mind admitting that I'm looking forward to being back in England. You embrace your friend and then accompany him to the ticket office. Only once you've seen him with a ticket in his hand and walking up to the gangway of the boat, you turn back to the flat. Perhaps you should be doing exactly the same thing as Reginald. Getting back to London. After all, Delft has nothing left to offer you. You're reflecting, wondering whether it was really worth it to insist you share the credit for your discoveries with B-Man. Is it really the time to make ego-driven decisions? Furthermore, if your best chances lie in proving your case to the academic sphere, would it not make more sense to try again in an environment where you still have some reputation? That is to say, in London? You no longer have any responsibilities or ties here. You immediately start packing your belongings in preparation to leave. With the money still at your disposal, it shouldn't be hard to get a place on the next steamer for London. And you will have time on... And you will have time on the trip back to plan carefully your next course of action. You may even persuade the University of London to enter into a competition with Delft. You're busy finishing packing your bag, but can't get these paranoid thoughts out of your mind. Even without any definitive evidence to back up your suspicions, you cannot help but feel tangled up in a web of conspiracies. You know, it happens. Every so often, you just happen to end up in a web of conspiracies. You know? Happens to the day-to-day person all the time. Procedure. You need to go back to the basics of procedure. The only remedy for the physical and mental chaos of the last few days is to return to the discipline of your military training and logically evaluate your best course of action. You will return to London. Given the uncertainty of your situation and the possible risks, you should try to identify the people watching you and throw them off your trail. And if it turns out that no one is watching you, you'll at least have taken all due precautions. Sounds reasonable. In spite of everything, the disciplined thinking seems to momentarily calm your nerves. You just need to focus. As you close the last bag, someone knocks at the door. It's Mr. Meyer. I'm going to be pissed. You approach the door, but you do not open it immediately. You ask who it is, and a voice with a heavy North African accent claims to be a messenger. Fuck it. I've got nothing to lose. You cautiously open the door just enough to see who's there, but not so much as to expose yourself to any risk. Waiting, there is a black man with a scarred face wearing a robe which looks much too small for him. He hands you a note. A message for Mr. Huntington. You take the note from the hands of the man, who looks at you with a slightly idiotic smile. You thank him, and he nods. For a second, you seem to catch a strange twinkle in the man's eyes. It's over in an instant, and it may only have been a trick of the light, or your imagination. Whoops. Accidentally double-clicked. Can I go back? Right away, you sit down and begin reading the unexpected message. I have no idea who this is, so getting a voice for them is going to be hard. Jake, this is the second time I'm writing to advise you. I hope that the fulfillment of the predictions of my first message has convinced you of my good intentions. You do not know me, Jake, but I am a friend, and the time has come to warn you. You shiver involuntarily. You had completely forgotten about the mysterious message which you received in Zanzibar. Oh, right, that. I can imagine that you've already started, noting strange things happening around you, and must have many suspicions. I can confirm for you now that these are indeed justified, and that you have attracted the attention of a very powerful and secret cult. This cult counts among its members captains of industry, nobles, politicians, and many other types of powerful people. They have only one overriding objective: total control. They have different ways of gaining it, but there is a plan that they all have been pursuing for a very long time. It is a plan that involves the disease. Epidemics are one of their main weapons of control, and thus you have assumed a key role in their eyes. You must be ready to defend yourself. A friend. I don't know if I trust some disembodied voice giving me messages. I mean, technically it's not even a disembodied voice. It's letters on a page that seems to be coming my way. As far as I'm concerned, this individual is just a letter. Oh wow, that's a lot of experience suddenly dumped. You reread the message twice. You're quite certain that this is no joke. But can you really trust this friend in light of this latest development? The thought of returning to London is looking ever more attractive. I mean, I did just say, should I trust words on a page, but at the same time, I mean, I kinda need a friend at this moment. I am working with a shady organization that I know nothing about that's able to rewrite people's memories. So, might be helpful to have someone who has an inkling of what's going on. It's a tough call to make. I mean, I don't know this individual for Adam. As far as I know, this could get me in deeper trouble. But at the same time, I mean, how much do I have to really lose? Also, what's my experience at now? I think it should be at like 20 or something. 28. Okay. If I wanted to raise my medicine, I need 40. Okay. Keep that in mind. Fuck it, I'll trust him. You will carry out your plan as you already decided, but because of this latest warning, you think it advisable to procure a pistol for yourself. You remember having seen a gun shop on your wandering through Delft. In the end, you find it, but quite a bit further away than you had remembered. The shopkeeper welcomes you with a smile, and you tell him that you're looking for a small, easily concealed pistol. And he doesn't ask questions, God bless him. He shows you various models, but one of them immediately stands out as exactly what you were looking for. Convenient! You buy it and leave. I'm sure there's no ominous inclinations to that. No siree. Unwanted guests. Well, it's a good thing I got a motherfucking gun then, huh? And hopefully some ammo. I mean, he's smart enough to not get a fucking gun without ammo. What kind of idiot would do that? Everything is ready. You need only leave your flat and head to the port, board your ship, and you will be on your way home. As you're about to leave the flat, you hear footsteps on the stairs outside. They stop right outside your door. We're going to have a Call of Cthulhu moment, aren't we? I'm, of course, referring to the old Call of Cthulhu game. I watched a playthrough of it, and I'm talking about the Run from Innsmouth. We're having a Run from Innsmouth moment, aren't we? You pull out the gun and hold it ready. Dr. Huntington, I must speak with you. And depending on how the conversation goes, my gun might have to speak with you. They do not even knock. They know fully well that you're inside, and you can hear them. You're frozen on the spot, waiting. After a brief, eerie silence, doors violently kick down and 3 men burst in. Bang! You fire once in their direction. You don't hit them, but you aren't trying to. You just want to scare them and let them know that you are serious. I'm not gonna phase them, are you high? What's my fight at? 2? Bye, bitch! You launch yourself towards the door. Still surprised by your shot, the 3 men at the doorway cannot react in time and block you, and you throw yourself down the steep stairs of the flat. You leave the building and sprint along the pavement. Without much time to think, you decide on the closest familiar place. The home of a colleague from the university. Oh, well, that's convenient. A few minutes later, you reach the house and start pounding incessantly on the door. Your heart racing, you turn back to the street. So far, there's no sign of the 3 men. It's only a question of time before they catch up. A valet comes to the door. The valet won't let you in, so you start yelling the name of your colleague. After a few seconds, you see his face appear at the window. You try to explain the danger you're in, and about the men chasing you. To your horror, he does not even answer you, but gestures to his valet to get rid of this drunk himself or call the police. You move back over to the window to protest, but as soon as you do, the valet closes and locks the door. There's no point. Apparently people have fucked with the people I know. Let's go! You are enraged, but you have no time to protest or think of anything else. The men chasing you might be around the corner any moment. You continue running. You're sprinting as fast as you can toward the nearest police station. However, the men have anticipated this move. 2 of them are blocking the street ahead. You're just asking yourself where the 3rd man is when he blindsides you and you're knocked unconscious. Fuck. Bet that item was my gun. You wake up still groggy. You try to get up from the bed in which you find yourself, but suddenly feel a painful throbbing in your head. The memories come flooding back. Delft, B-Man, the attack. Where the hell are you anyway? You slide out of the comfortable bed on the fine linen sheets and look around about the room. It too is spacious, pleasant, and in addition to the bed, there's a sitting area and a small bookcase. You are bewildered, as if in a dream. This could be a guest bedroom of a stately house. There are no windows. At the end of the room is a heavy, ornate door. You approach the door and try to open it. The handle turns, but the door is locked. Give me a moment, I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Better. let's see. Again, I'm probably not... Let's take a quick look at my sheet here. I mean, calling someone, I don't know if that's really going to help me out. I don't know if I'm strong enough to force a door open is the thing. I guess I could boost my fighting a little bit now. But I feel like it's in my best interest to save up to get medicine higher, you know? It might be a mistake. That's weird. Why was this highlighted if there was nothing there? Okay, fuck it, let's call. Hello, is anyone there? You shout a few more times, gradually getting louder, but no answer comes. You decide to give up with the door and try exploring the room instead. Before long, you've confirmed your initial impressions. Everything is refined and high quality. Better even than your home back in London. Occasionally, you return to the door and try the handle in vain. I figured it'd be better to get my surroundings first. You scan the room, examining every inch of the walls in search of any opening for a clue that might yield further information. You examine the furniture and the bookcase for a second time. You find nothing, however, save for the fact the room must be cleaned and tidied fairly frequently. It must have had many guests over long periods of time. Sudden noise makes you jump. The door opens. In silence, you prepare for a confrontation. A man enters the room wearing only a sort of monochrome kilt, a skull cap, and a strange stone mask. He's carrying a tray of food. You immediately start asking questions, but the man ignores you completely. He puts down the tray and turns to leave. You go forward trying to stop him, but you're suddenly paralyzed by an intense pain in your arm. You can only turn your head an inch or two, enough to glimpse a hair-thin needle protruding from your right shoulder. Watching him leave, you notice another man by the door, dressed in the same bizarre manner. You only watch them silently. You can only watch them silently leave and close the door. After a few minutes, the paralysis weakens. Somewhat discombobulated, you pull out the needle and look at the tray, on which there are various tasty-looking dishes. Several hours pass before anything else happens. The door opens, and this time it's a woman who enters. She's dressed identically to the men, bare-chested, skirt, skull cap, and stone mask. Don't really see the skull cap in the picture, but I'll take your word for it. As absurd as the clothing is, there's something sacerdotal about it that reminds you of a picture of Sumerian and Egyptian priests you vaguely remember seeing somewhere. Again, you're dumbfounded by the whole affair, but this time you notice straight away the man standing in the doorway. You watch as the woman places another full tray of food on the table and takes away the untouched previous one. You look at the food and inhale its aroma. The dishes are appetizing and clearly prepared with care. Your stomach grumbles. You haven't eaten for many hours. I don't know if I can trust them. At the same time, I'm probably gonna have to eat at some point, but I don't trust these fuckers. They kidnapped me. Fuck them. No. It would be stupid to just eat the food that your captors gave you. They could have laced it with something. Fuck, for all we know, it's laced with the virus. For all we know, it's laced with some sort of bullshit to get you to do whatever the fuck they want you to, because honestly, they have powers we can't comprehend at this point. You throw yourself on the bed and start thinking. It's made difficult by this delicious smell of the food drifting over from the tray. What strange manner of torture could this possibly be? To be locked up in such luxurious conditions. You're trying to make sense of this perplexing situation, but your mind, or rather, your stomach, keeps wandering back to the tray. You're famished, but you have to stay strong. Don't even know how long you'll be kept here. Yeah, I'm gonna continue this train. Man, what a bitch would I be. No, I'm not gonna eat what they are giving me. It could be poison. Hour later, fuck it, I'm hungry. You get up and irritably flip the table, tray, and all its contents on the floor. You return to the bed. You return to the bed. The constant illumination of the room gives you no clues as to the passage of time or whether it's day or night. Only after a few minutes, you fall asleep. You wake up with ravenous hunger and stomach cramps, still entirely unaware of how much time has elapsed. You notice the room has been tidied, and the tray of food has been replaced with another. You need to eat. This time, the last of your concerns is poisonous. You attack the delicious food on the tray, almost choking in your fervor. Even if they hadn't replaced the tray, you would probably have eaten the food you had knocked onto the floor. Many days have passed, even though you have no way of knowing exactly how many. If this absurd imprisonment is to continue much longer, you are quite sure that you will lose your mind. Once again, you are lying in the bed, thinking after having been woken up. You get up to do some exercise, and as you're doing the last push-up, you raise your head to see something very unusual and unexpected. The door is ajar. You approach the door slowly. You're listening out for even the slightest noise, but there's only silence. You try to peer beyond the small gap between the door and the frame, but it's too narrow. You stop to think for a moment. Before we do anything else, I have enough points now to boost my medicine a little more. Although, given the situation we're in, I'm going to boost my agility first. It would be good to get my medicine up, obviously. Like, no shit. But at the same time, we're in escape mode now. We need to get the fuck out of here. We can worry about medicine and the virus later. For right now, we have to escape from this freaky cult. Right? Right. Well, the obvious step would be to open the door with extreme caution. You open the door very slowly and silently, inch by inch. In the surrounding silence, every small creak seems to you a deafening screech. Having opened it a few inches, you peer outside. Seeing an empty corridor, you leave the room immediately. You find yourself in a corridor lined with several doors, all identical to that from which you came. There's wallpaper covering the walls, making it impossible to understand what type of building it is. There's nothing else, only a corridor with 6 doors. Well, I mean, it makes sense to check the nearest doors and then go further, if you ask me. You go to the door directly opposite and try the handle. It's locked, just as was your own until a few moments ago. Let's see if I can hear anything. You put your ear to the door and try to concentrate on picking up even the slightest noise. You think you can hear breathing, but you decide that it could just be a trick of the mind, or the pressure causing you to have your ear pressed against the door. You leave the door and try another. You try another door. This time, one in the center of the corridor. It's closed. Try one opposite. The handle turns. The Club of Stone Masks. But you know, I think now's a great time to end the episode. In the next one, we'll see what we found in that mysterious room. I'll see you guys then.